My name is Naomi Blake, and I'm 29 years old. The night my boyfriend told me, I'm going on a self-discovery trip with my ex for 2 weeks, I didn't scream, throw anything, or even pause the show I was half watching. Instead, something inside me went very, very quiet, like a snapped chalk line hanging in the air for a heartbeat before the blue dust settles into a perfectly straight boundary. On one side of that line was the life I'd been living. On the other side was the life I was about to choose. Austin stepped in front of the TV, blocking the soft glow. The remote was still in my hand. He stood there like he was about to read a weather alert. I need to tell you something important, he said, voice grave, eyes wide, like he was bracing for my tears. For a second, I honestly thought someone had died. Okay, I said, tell me. I'm going on a self-discovery retreat with Gabby. He let the name sit between us like incense smoke. Gabby, his ex from college, the one whose photos he forgot to delete off Instagram, the woman who really understood his artistic soul, as he loved to say whenever he'd had 1.5 IPAs and an audience. With Gabby, I repeated. It's this spiritual center, he rushed on. 2 weeks of meditation, journaling, healing circles, really deep work. We got a group discount. For you and your ex-girlfriend, I said. He flinched like I'd made it weird. Don't do that, Naomi. It's not about her. We're just friends now. She's going through things too. This is about my journey. I muted the TV and set the remote down carefully. When? I asked. Next week, Tuesday morning flight. So, I said slowly, you're going on a 2-week spiritual retreat with your ex, just the two of you, and you want me to be supportive. He brightened, relieved I'd said it for him. Exactly. See? This is why I love you. You get it. No, I thought. This is why you think you can get away with it. Out loud, I only asked, and where do I fit into this journey of yours? He took a breath like he was about to say something profound. You trusting me is part of my spiritual growth. I stared at him. Your spiritual growth? Yeah. He smiled, soft and beatific. Naomi, you know how stuck I've felt. My jewelry business, my energy, my blocked third eye. I need this reset. Gabby just happens to be on a similar path. Her name again. Gabby just happens. I picked up my beer, took a slow sip, and felt that invisible line inside me tightening, stretching, finding its anchor. Sounds great, I said. He blinked. Really? Sure, when do you leave? He searched my face like he was trying to find the trap door. Tuesday morning, like I said. You're really okay with this? Austin, I said softly, if you need to find yourself, who am I to stop you? He looked genuinely moved. He crossed the room, kissed my forehead like I was a very understanding golden retriever, and whispered, You're so evolved. This is why we work. Evolved, I thought. Right. The next 3 days were a montage of Austin's version of preparation. New yoga pants, a fresh journal with Ascension, embossed on the cover, non-refundable retreat fees, hours of monologues about chakras and inner children. I nodded in all the right places, asked just enough questions to keep him talking, and, in the spaces between his sentences, started quietly planning my own retreat. From him, what Austin didn't know, and never cared enough to ask about, was the lease. He'd moved into my apartment 8 months earlier with 2 suitcases, a box of crystals, and a suitcase full of inventory for his spiritual jewelry business, beaded bracelets and tangles of tarnished chain. We never got around to adding his name to the lease. The utilities were in my name. The furniture was 90% mine. Even the succulent collection he curated on Instagram as proof of his green aura had been purchased on my credit card. Monday, while he was getting his aura cleansed at some overpriced spa, I slipped out of the office on my lunch break and signed paperwork at a different complex across town. Smaller place, better water pressure, no altars on the kitchen counter. By Tuesday morning, the line inside me had fully settled. There was my old life, me, orbiting around Austin's latest spiritual emergency, and there was the new one, me, not doing that. At the airport drop-off, he hugged me quickly, already scanning for his gate. 2 weeks will fly by, he said. I'll have limited phone access, so don't worry if I don't text much. I won't, I said. He paused at that, like the words didn't sit how he expected. You're the best. You know that? I'm going to come back a whole new man. I'm sure you will. He grabbed his duffel and his carefully curated, soul-searching backpack. Love you, he called over his shoulder. I smiled and waved. You too. I stayed long enough to watch him clear security, to see his silhouette vanish into the moving line of other people chasing their own versions of escape. When he disappeared, I exhaled. Then I drove straight to U-Haul. It took 2 days to move. I'd already sorted what was mine and what was his in my mind. Now, I just put the mental inventory into boxes. Couch, mine. Dishes, mostly mine. The ugly macrame wall, hanging, he insisted, raise the vibration of the living room, that stayed. I was meticulous. I took only what my money or my family had paid for. Everything of his I left carefully stacked and labeled in the living room. Crystals, altar cloths, ring light, tripod, boxes of cosmic current jewelry that had sold exactly 3 bracelets in 6 months. I even left the utilities on. The note went on the kitchen counter in the center of the space he'd once called our sanctuary. Austin, you went to find yourself. I decided to do the same. Turns out I discovered I deserve a partner who doesn't take his ex on a 2-week retreat and ask me to fund the fallout. Your things are in the living room. The lease ends in 3 weeks. Rick, the landlord, knows you may contact him to sign a new one in your own name or move out. I found myself, and the version of my life that includes me doesn't include you. Good luck with your chakras. Naomi. Once the last box was loaded into the new place and the old apartment keys were on Rick's desk, I turned my phone face down on the kitchen counter and let silence settle around me like a warm, clean blanket. For the first time in months, my home didn't smell like incense, burned sage, or desperation. 5 days later, my phone lit up like a storm cell. I'd forgotten one simple thing. While I'd blocked Austin's number, I hadn't blocked his email. The first subject line hit my inbox at 3:17 p.m. on Wednesday. What is this? The message was frantic, words slamming together. Naomi, this isn't funny. I came back early because the retreat was a disaster and you're gone. All my stuff is in piles. The landlord says I have to sign a lease. I can't afford this place alone. This is manipulative and cruel. Where are you? Oh, he came back early. The second email came an hour later. You're trying to control me with money. This is emotional abuse. Gabby says normal people talk things out. Gabby says, I didn't respond. Instead, I texted Luke, my friend who still lived in the same building. Hey, you seen Austin today? The dots appeared almost immediately. Oh man, you moved out, didn't you? Yep. Luke called me. I put him on speaker while I unpacked dishes in my new kitchen. He showed up last night, Luke said, with Gabby, because of course he did. They spent an hour dragging boxes around and arguing. I heard him yelling to his mom on the phone about how you stole his apartment. His apartment, I repeated, stacking plates. Wait, it gets better, Luke said. I overheard Gabby on the phone in the hallway with this guy named Dylan, apparently her boyfriend. He found out about the retreat from her Instagram. Sunset pics, vague captions about healing. He lost it. That's why they bailed after 5 days. Your boy's self-discovery journey lasted less than a week. I let myself smile, just a little. So the two of them came back to his apartment together. Oh yeah, Luke said. She was crying about Dylan, he was crying about rent, and I was just trying to get to my mailbox. After we hung up, I checked my email again. A new sender had joined the storm. Deb, subject line blazing. How could you do this to my son? I opened it. Naomi, I can't believe you would abandon Austin this way. He came home from a spiritual retreat early because he was so distressed, and you left him homeless. He is devastated. He told me you were jealous of his connection with Gabby. You are being petty and cruel. He has invested so much of himself in this relationship. He was planning to propose to you one day. You've thrown away something beautiful because of your pride. Call me. Deb. I stared at the screen for a long moment, then closed the email without replying. Homeless. In an apartment full of his things, with 3 weeks of fully paid rent. Jealous of his connection with his ex. On the counter beside my laptop, my new apartment keys glinted in a neat little pile. Solid, simple, mine. The chalk line in my chest felt steadier than ever. I opened my fridge, poured myself a glass of cold water in a glass that was 100% mine, and toasted the empty, quiet room. To self-discovery, I thought, and to not being the one who has to pay for his. Part 2. Entitlement Olympics. Streaming passwords, parking lot drama, and a doorstep showdown. By Friday morning, the silence started to hum again, not inside me, but from my phone. First came a flood of password reset notifications. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, then Disney Plus, which made me laugh out loud. Austin didn't even like Disney. He used to call it capitalist nostalgia. He was trying to get into my streaming accounts. From whatever couch, hotel, or mystical safe house he'd landed in, he was panicking. So I changed every password to a new variation of the same phrase. Find your own Netflix. 5 minutes later, a text from an unknown number lit up my screen. Austin wants to know why you're being so petty about the streaming services. He's having a panic attack. I typed back. Tell him meditation might help. I didn't block the number. Watching him scramble felt like poetic justice. Just enough cosmic balance to make the universe feel properly aligned. But Austin wasn't done aligning. The next day, I came out of my gym and spotted him leaning against my car like a man rehearsing a confrontation. He looked disheveled, beard half-grown, clothes wrinkled, a tote bag that said, "Support your local empath," hanging off one shoulder. "We need to talk," he said. I adjusted my gym bag. "About what?" "You can't just ignore me. We were together for 3 years." 8 months, I corrected, unlocking the car. "The emotional connection was 3 years," he countered, as if math bent to his feelings. "What does that even mean?" He took a step closer. "Naomi, I get it. You heard about Gabby, but nothing happened, okay? We meditated, we journaled, we talked about our feelings. Sounds magical." "Stop being sarcastic. This is serious. I need a place to live." "Then get one." He stared, blinking. "You know I can't afford anything right now. My business has sold 3 bracelets." "That's not fair. It's also not my problem anymore." His expression changed from pleading to calculating. "If you ever loved me, you'll help me." I leaned against my car door. "I did love you. And then you went on a romantic vacation with your ex." "It wasn't romantic." Right on cue, a dented Honda Civic pulled up to the curb. Gabby got out, barefoot in sandals, a linen jumpsuit that probably cost more than my rent, holding a smoothie labeled Karma Cleanse. Her hair was perfect. Of course it was. She waved awkwardly. "Hey, Naomi." I smiled politely. "Gabby." Austin flinched, glancing between us. I told her to wait in the car. Seems she didn't. Gabby shifted her smoothie from one hand to the other. "I think we should all talk like adults." "That's ironic," I said. Austin scowled. "Can you not?" "No," I said and opened my car door. But before I could close it, Gabby blurted, "This isn't what it looks like." "Oh?" Austin was just helping me process some trauma. "Was his mouth involved?" Gabby's lips parted, stunned. Austin groaned. "Naomi, please." I slid into the driver's seat. "Good luck processing." He reached for the door before I shut it. "You can't keep running away from hard conversations." "Austin," I said softly, "some of us run toward peace. Big difference." Then I closed the door and drove away, his open-mouthed indignation shrinking in the rearview mirror. Saturday morning, I woke up to a familiar sound, my doorbell. 5 minutes straight. When I checked the Ring camera, I saw a full ensemble cast. Austin, his mother Deb, his sister Quinn, Gabby, again, and a woman I didn't recognize holding a clipboard. A U-Haul sat idling behind them like a low-budget apocalypse. I hit the intercom. "Can I help you?" Deb jumped right in. "Naomi, you need to stop this nonsense and talk to my son face to face." "I did. He was in the parking lot yesterday." "That wasn't a conversation. That was cruelty." "Then this must be comedy." Quinn stepped forward, arms crossed. "You're destroying his life over your ego." "His life isn't destroyed," I said. "He's just facing consequences." The unknown woman piped up in a soft, syrupy tone. "Energetically, this feels really negative." I tilted my head. "You must be Piper." Her eyebrows rose. "You've heard of me?" "Only from Austin's business emails." "Right, well, don't you think you're being a bit harsh?" I smiled sweetly. "You know what else is energetically negative? Going on vacation with your ex." Behind them, Austin muttered something to Gabby. Then he did the dumbest thing possible. He tried the door handle. "Dude," I said through the intercom, "I'm recording this. Stop or I call the cops." He froze, turned to glare at the camera. "You wouldn't." "Try me." He backed off, but Deb took his place at the front. "Naomi, you are so heartless. After everything he's done for you." "Like what?" Like supporting your career while you..." "I paid 100% of the rent, Deb." "That's not the point." "Then maybe find one." Gabby shifted uncomfortably, clearly wishing she were anywhere else. Quinn whispered something that made Deb gasp. Piper started talking about releasing toxic vibrations. I was almost impressed by the chaos choreography. Finally, Austin snapped. "I gave you everything, Naomi. I decorated your apartment. I cooked for you. I made you a better person." I laughed. "You decorated with my money, cooked twice, and the only thing you made me was tired." "You're being vindictive." "I'm being gone." That shut them all up for a second. "Good luck, Austin," I added. "And Deb, tell your son the lease ends in 2 weeks. The landlord's waiting for his decision." Then I disconnected the call. 5 minutes later, the U-Haul drove off. My phone buzzed. An email notification. Subject line, business proposal. I opened it. "Naomi, I know emotions are high right now, but I'd like to make you an offer that benefits us both. I'm seeking investors for cosmic current jewelry. With your financial contribution, I can focus on creation without the stress of rent. In exchange, you'd receive 10% equity. This is your chance to show you still believe in something bigger than yourself. Austin, the investment amount he requested, exactly 3 months' rent. I stared at the screen for a long time, then forwarded the email to Luke. He texted back one line. Is he high? I typed, probably, on essential oils. Then I shut my laptop, leaned back on my couch, and finally let myself laugh. Quiet, real, unstoppable. The kind of laugh that comes only after you've escaped something that once convinced you it was love. Part 3. Public smear campaign, LinkedIn pitches, GoFundMe lies, and courthouse theatrics. By Monday morning, I thought the storm had passed. But Austin never believed in silence, only in noise that sounded like self-expression. My phone buzzed with the dozen LinkedIn notifications before breakfast. At first, I assumed it was spam. Then I saw the subject lines. Cosmic current jewelry is expanding. Join the journey. Naomi's ex invites you to invest in wearable enlightenment. He had messaged every single one of my professional contacts, my boss, my clients, my college mentor, even the recruiter who ghosted me in 2019. The message was the same. Hi, I'm Austin Blake, founder of Cosmic Current Jewelry, and I believe business and personal life should stay separate. Despite my recent breakup with Naomi, I still value her professional circle's energy. Would you like to support a conscious entrepreneur redefining modern spirituality? By noon, my boss texted me, Your ex is interesting. Should we invest? I replied, only if you want to lose consciousness. But Austin didn't stop there. The next day, a GoFundMe page started circulating. The title, Help a Spiritual Entrepreneur Escape Financial Abuse. The description read like satire. For years, I was controlled financially by a woman who suppressed my creative spirit. She isolated me from friends, sabotaged my jewelry business, and abandoned me during a mental health crisis. His goal? $25,000. Amount raised so far? $37. All from his mother, Deb. I didn't know whether to be angry or impressed. Friends started messaging me screenshots. One wrote, Is this performance art? Another, He's marketing trauma as a subscription model. Even Gabby's boyfriend, Dylan, of all people, sent me a DM. Sorry about Austin. Dude's wild. Gabby says he's been burning sage in my garage. I didn't respond. Some messes clean themselves up. Then Wednesday came, the day Austin decided to make it official. A pale envelope arrived at my new apartment, stamped Civil Division. Austin had filed a civil claim, representing himself, seeking domestic partnership compensation. He'd apparently spent a few hours on Google, learned about common law marriage, and decided we had one. The claim stated, 8 months of cohabitation, mutual support, and spiritual merging. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. Still, I showed up to court. I wasn't going to let him twist the narrative unchecked. When the clerk called his name, Austin strutted up in a white linen shirt, barefoot in sandals, holding a crystal instead of a folder. Your Honor, he began, this isn't about money, it's about energy exchange. The judge blinked. Energy exchange. Yes, Austin said, voice trembling with misplaced sincerity. Naomi and I shared a sacred domestic bond. I deserve compensation for the emotional labor of loving someone who refused to evolve. The judge turned to me. Miss Blake, how long did you live together? 8 months, Your Honor. And during that time, were you financially supporting him? Yes, entirely. The judge sighed. And he filed this claim while on vacation with his ex-girlfriend? Yes. The judge lowered her glasses. Case dismissed, with prejudice. Austin's mouth dropped open. Wait, Your Honor. Sir, you may leave the crystal on my desk if it helps you move on. He clutched it tighter. This is sacred quartz. Then take it outside, she said flatly. I walked out of the courtroom before laughter betrayed me. But the circus wasn't over. Outside, Piper was waiting with her phone raised, filming Austin as he stood on the courthouse steps. Tell your truth, she urged. He nodded gravely, facing the camera like a prophet in crisis. This is what systemic oppression of spiritual men looks like, he declared. Society fears male vulnerability. The courts silence conscious masculinity. Piper murmured, so powerful, while adjusting the filter. I stopped at the curb, half tempted to applaud. The video went online that afternoon, 12 views, all from Deb's different accounts. By the weekend, Austin had pivoted his narrative again. His new post read, Spiritual rebirth is messy. Some people call it breakdown. I call it expansion. The attached photo showed him meditating in the dark, candlelight glinting off a foreclosure notice taped behind him. I didn't comment. I didn't block him either. There's a certain peace in watching chaos burn itself out without needing to strike the match. Part 4. Final eviction, cosmic consequences, and Naomi's quiet, happy ending. By Thursday morning, I thought the madness had finally burned itself down to ash. Then my phone rang. Naomi, it's Rick. Rick, my old landlord. His voice carried that specific exhaustion reserved for people who've just been spiritually harassed. Your ex is trying to squat in the apartment. I blinked. He what? He changed the locks. Says he has tenant rights. I called the police, but he's waving around some printed lease agreement. It's obviously fake. He spelled his own name wrong. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Of course he did. Rick sighed. He also set up a small altar in the living room and says the apartment has chosen him as its guardian. I can't tell if that's religious or just delusional. I looked around my new apartment. Quiet, clean, sunlight warming the floorboards. Rick, the utilities are still under my name, right? Yeah, you left them running. Not anymore, I said. Shut them off. 30 minutes later, power gone. An hour after that, my phone rang again, from an unknown number. I answered, already smiling. Hello? Naomi, this is Quinn, came a sharp, furious voice. Turn the power back on right now. I leaned against the counter. Who is this again? You know who this is. Austin is in that apartment with no electricity. You can't do this. I can, actually. My name's on the bill. He's illegally occupying the space. Maybe he should try some candlelight meditation. He's trying to run his business, Quinn snapped. He's got orders to fulfill. Orders? I repeated. As in the 3 bracelets? Silence. That's not the point, she said finally. He's establishing residency. That's literally squatting. Quinn hung up. The next day, Rick called again, voice brighter this time. Police removed him this morning, he said. He tried to claim you were his landlord and that he'd paid you rent. And? He couldn't produce a single receipt because, it never happened. I exhaled. Is he okay? Rick chuckled. Define okay. He screamed something about mercury being in microwave and tried to sage the officers. They were very patient. I covered my mouth to hide my laugh. I think he meant retrograde. Whatever it was, he's gone, Rick said, and the apartment's back to normal. Good, I said softly. It deserves better energy. 2 weeks later, the updates began trickling in. According to Luke, Austin had moved back in with his parents. Not with Quinn. She'd finally blocked him after the microwave incident. Not with Gabby, who had since vanished from his posts entirely. No, he was back in his childhood bedroom, rebranding his regression as a sabbatical from capitalism. He'd updated his Instagram bio to read, Survivor Visionary Cosmic Warrior on pause. He was still trying to sell jewelry, now bundled with affirmation oils. Piper accidentally revealed in the comments that the oils were just relabeled bottles from the dollar store. Someone asked if they were FDA approved. Austin replied, I don't subscribe to governmental oversight of natural healing. His mom, Deb, was the only one who liked the post. Gabby resurfaced too, back with Dylan, if their cryptic working on us posts meant anything. They tagged each other in passive-aggressive memes about forgiveness as growth. Honestly, they seemed perfect for each other. One Friday night, Luke texted me, Guess who I just saw at the bar? Before I could respond, he sent a photo. Austin, half drunk, surrounded by empty shot glasses and half-lit candles from some clearance rack. He called me an hour later, laughing so hard he could barely speak. Austin just tried to bro-hug me, said he's sorry for everything the universe put between you two. Then he told me he's delivering pizzas now because it's the most grounding job imaginable. Grounding, I repeated, smiling. Yeah, then he told the bartender he's launching a podcast about spiritual breakups. I shook my head. Perfect, let him monetize closure. Later that night, as I curled up on my couch with a glass of wine, I opened my laptop and saw one more email. This one from Deb. I hope you're happy. My son is devastated. He truly thought you were the one. He was even planning to propose on that retreat, with Gabby's help to pick out rings. You threw away something beautiful because of your silly pride. I stared at it for a long, stunned moment. He was going to propose on a trip with his ex, who was going to help him pick out rings. For the first time in weeks, I laughed so hard I cried. When I finally caught my breath, I deleted the email and poured myself another glass. A few weeks later, I met someone new, Ethan. Funny, grounded, normal in a way that felt almost suspicious at first. We met at a resident mixer at my new building, where the biggest drama was whether the hummus was homemade. On our second date, over coffee, I told him the short version of the story. When I reached the part about Austin changing the locks, Ethan snorted so hard he spilled his drink. Did he really say Mercury was in microwave? He did. That's kind of iconic, he said, grinning. I smiled. You have no idea. Sometimes I think about Austin, not with anger, just curiosity, about how people can talk endlessly about self-discovery, but never actually look inward. He went searching for enlightenment and found eviction notices instead. I went searching for peace and found it sitting quietly in a sunlit apartment, drinking cold coffee in the morning, not explaining myself to anyone. The truth is, I didn't need to discover myself. I just needed to stop letting someone else define what peace should look like. So when Ethan joked last night, "Want to take a self-discovery trip? Just us?" I laughed. And for the first time, it didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a beginning.